Usually when we talk about medical diagnosis, there's this expectation of absolute precision.
Right, yeah. Like engineering or something.
Exactly, like engineering. You fall, you break your arm, they put you in that machine, and the X-ray just shows that stark, jagged white line against the black film.
Yeah, it's undeniable.
And the doctor just points a pen at it and says, there it is.
Right. It's completely binary. Like, it is definitively broken, or it is definitively not broken.
It's clean, and honestly, it's comforting. We humans, we just love things to be visible, right? We love them to be neatly categorized and perfectly structured.
Oh, for sure. We love a system.
Yeah.
But then, you step into the world of learning a new language.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, specifically, you step into the world of trying to speak English in a real, functioning, messy workplace. And suddenly that X-ray machine is just, well, it's completely broken.
Exactly. It's like we're looking at a linguistic landscape that is, well, honestly, it's murky. You spend months memorizing the textbook perfectly, right? You know the grammar rules, you know the vocabulary lists, but then you step into the office on Monday morning, and absolutely nobody sounds like the textbook.
Nobody. It is the absolute definition of communication muddy waters. I mean, you walk in, totally prepared, armed with a phrase like, "Good morning, my esteemed colleagues. I hope you are doing well on this fine day."
Yeah, right, like a Victorian novel.
Exactly. And what you actually get hit with is a mumbled, "Morning, rough commute, you good?"
And your brain just short circuits.
Completely.
You're standing there thinking, wait, where's the verb? Where is the subject? What does rough commute even mean?
Yeah, the rules just fly out the window.
And that disconnect between the English you study and the English you actually need to survive is exactly what we are tackling today. So for you listening, our mission today is highly practical.
Very practical.
We are going to master the English you actually need to survive and, eventually to thrive in an English-speaking office or workplace.
And I want to make a very specific note about pacing right here at the start, because this deep dive is designed specifically for learners, right? Like, we are focusing heavily on those foundational A1 to A2 beginner and intermediate concepts.
Right.
So we are going to keep the pace of our conversation deliberate today.
Deliberate, slow, and clear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are not going to rush through these concepts. We are not going to throw complicated linguistic jargon at you. We are going to break down real human English.
And we have an incredible framework today that pulls from practical dialogues, native speaker habits, the underlying psychology of why we say what we say, and proven language learning methods.
Yeah, it's a really solid stack of sources.
So our blueprint for today is to walk you chronologically through a typical workday.
From the very beginning.
Right, from the moment the alarm goes off, through the commute, the desk conversations, the terrifying world of meetings, talking to the boss, handling stress, and eventually clocking out.
It's a full day.
It really is. We're even going to look at different work environments and how to get the job in the first place through the interview process.
So let's start at the very beginning, because before you can speak English at work, you have to actually, get to work.
Okay, let's unpack this. The morning routine. I always think of the morning brain like an old computer slowly loading its operating system, right?
Totally, with the little dial-up sound.
Yes, there's that little hourglass just spinning on the screen. Why in the world do we try to formulate perfect, complex, multi-clause textbook sentences when our brains haven't even had coffee yet?
It's a great question, and the comforting truth is that native speakers don't expect you to.
They don't.
No, not at all. Natural English, especially early in the morning, isn't about giant vocabulary words. It's about taking very simple, manageable ideas and adding tiny fluid details to them.
Right. Let's look at the foundational vocabulary of waking up. Like a beginner might learn to say, I wake up late.
Which is perfectly fine. It's grammatically correct. It communicates the basic fact, but it sounds a little bit robotic, right? A little bit stiff. To sound natural, you don't need to learn a new, complicated verb. You just add a tiny detail to paint a picture.
Okay, give me an example.
So instead of, I wake up late, you upgrade it to, I woke up a little late this morning, so I rushed.
So I rushed. Oh, I like that. That is such a human addition.
Yeah.
It takes the listener from just receiving a cold fact to actually visualizing you running around your apartment trying to find your keys.
Exactly. It creates empathy. And the vocabulary you need for this morning routine is inherently repetitive, which is a massive advantage for language learners.
Because repetition builds memory.
Exactly. You use phrases like, I make my bed, I drink coffee, I take a shower, I get dressed for work.
Let's pause on that last one, actually.
Yeah.
I get dressed for work. A lot of learners try to translate directly from their native language and say something like, I put clothes on my body.
Yeah, I hear that a lot. And while people will understand what you mean, get dressed is the natural native chunk of language. You don't need to analyze the grammar of it too deeply, you know? Just learn it as a single unit. I get dressed.
And before you even get dressed, there is that universal feeling of hitting the alarm. The phrase we really want to highlight here is, I hit the snooze button.
Oh, that is a phenomenal phrase.
This is the best button.
Right. Snooze is that button that gives you 5 or 10 more minutes of sleep. But saying, I hit the snooze button, does more than just describe an action.
What else does it do?
It's a cultural touchstone. It tells whoever you were talking to, I am just like you. I also struggled to leave the warmth of my bed today.
It's an instant connector, which perfectly sets up what happens the moment you leave your house and start the commute. Small talk.
Oh, small talk.
I know so many learners who are absolutely terrified of small talk.
Look at the huge source of anxiety.
They feel this immense pressure, like they are standing at the bus stop waiting for the 8.15 bus, and they think they need to have a profound philosophical conversation.
Right, like they're giving a TED talk.
Yeah. Like I shouldn't walk up to a coworker at the bus stop and say, excuse me, what is your perspective on the current macroeconomic trends affecting our industry?
I mean, if you do that at 8:15 in the morning, people will slowly walk away from you.
Yeah, I'd pretend I didn't know you.
Exactly. Small talk is explicitly designed to avoid deep ideas. It requires simple, relatable observations. The environment around you is your best friend here.
The weather, the traffic.
Precisely. Nice day today. This bus is really slow today. Or a very simple compliment like, I like your jacket. You are just establishing a pleasant atmosphere.
There is a brilliant, highly actionable formula for this kind of beginner small talk in our sources. It's called the share plus ask formula.
I love this concept. It is a secret weapon for anyone who feels nervous speaking English.
So how does it actually work? Let's role play it. Say we're standing at the bus stop. It's freezing cold.
Okay, so the first step is the share. You share one tiny, relatable detail about your current experience. So you're shivering, right? You say, I forgot my jacket, bad decision.
I forgot my jacket, bad decision. Okay, so that's the share. I'm putting a little piece of myself out there.
Exactly. But you don't want to stop there because then the silence gets awkward.
Right, you're just staring at each other shivering.
Yeah, so you immediately follow up with the ask. You pivot the attention away from yourself and invite the other person to speak. How's your morning going?
So put together, it's, I forgot my jacket, bad decision, how's your morning going? That is so incredibly natural.
It really is. It's a verbal dance. It completely takes the pressure off you to carry the entire conversation.
Right.
You shared something small, showing you friendly, and then you toss the conversational ball gently into their court.
I can literally visualize that. Toss the ball, let them hold it. Okay, so we've survived the bus stop. We've navigated the commute. Now we are walking through the glass doors, arriving at the office.
Here we go.
This brings us to a highly delicate social interaction. The art of the morning greeting.
And this is the exact moment where we must ask you to take your English textbook, kindly thank it for its service, and throw it out the window.
Throw it right out. Because if you walk past your colleagues' desks at 8:55 a.m., stand perfectly straight and declare, hello, how are you today?
Yeah.
You are going to sound like a telemarketer.
Or a robot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Native speakers use what we can effectively call shortcut English.
Shortcut English, I like that.
Think about the physical and psychological state of an office worker in the morning. They're holding their coffee cup like it's a medical device, keeping them alive, right?
Yes, literally clinging to it.
They are reviewing their schedule. They are half asleep. They simply do not have the mental bandwidth for long, formal sentences.
So they just drop the formal greetings entirely. They don't even say good morning. They just say, morning.
Morning, how's it going? You good? Rough morning.
And my absolute favorite, the classic office greeting that you hear constantly, is it Friday yet?
Yes, the universal plea for the weekend.
I've heard people say, is it Friday yet?
Mm-hmm.
On a Tuesday morning at 9 a.m.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a deeply spiritual office experience.
Yeah.
But wait, I have to push back here. I want to play the role of the confused learner for a second.
Go for it.
Let's say I'm walking to my desk.
Yeah.
A coworker walks past, makes eye contact, and says, how's it going? To me, that sounds like a direct question about my current state of being.
Right.
Shouldn't I stop walking, and tell them exactly how my morning is actually going. Don't they want the full story about my dog refusing to go outside and my car battery dying and the train being delayed?
No, and this is a fundamental cultural misunderstanding that trips up so many learners.
Okay, tell me why.
In an English-speaking workplace, when someone asks, "How's it going?" or "How are you?" in passing, they are not asking for a detailed emotional or logistical report.
They aren't.
Not at all. They are simply acknowledging your existence. It's about connection, not deep meaning.
Oh, wow. Okay, I like to think of it like a submarine.
A submarine.
Yeah, you know how a submarine sends out a sonar ping? Just a little sound wave to see what's out there in the dark water. Ping.
I love that.
The coworker saying, "How's it going?" is just a ping. It just means, I see you.
That is a perfect analogy. And so what does the other submarine do?
It pings back.
Exactly. It pings back. I see you too. Your answer doesn't need to be your life story, you know. It just needs to be a return ping.
So keep it short.
Extremely short. Pretty good, you. Not bad. Tired, but okay.
Tired but okay. I love that one. It's honest, but it doesn't demand a follow-up conversation. It just says, hey, we are both suffering through Tuesday together.
Exactly. Keep the sentences short, clear, and flexible, and the shortcut English continues right over to the coffee machine. You'll hear these clipped, abbreviated phrases like, "Long weekend, huh?" or "Weather's crazy today."
Notice how words are literally missing from those sentences. They don't say, "Did you have a long weekend?" They just drop the first three words and say, "Long weekend, huh?"
Yeah, and they don't say, "The weather is crazy today." They drop the article and contract the verb, "Weather's crazy today."
This is so liberating for a beginner. You don't have to construct the whole grammar tree in your head. You just say the core noun and adjective.
Exactly.
And this shortcutting applies to actual work tasks, too. A textbook might teach you to write or say something incredibly formal like, "I am writing this email to inform you that I will be working on the project shortly."
Yeah, if you say that in a modern office or message that on a platform like Slack or Microsoft Teams, people will think you used artificial intelligence to write it.
It is way too stiff.
It is. Instead, you just use 4 words. I'm on it.
I'm on it. Or, I'll start on it soon.
Clarity is always prioritized over poetry in the workplace.
Okay, so the morning gauntlet is complete. You've got your coffee, you've successfully pinged your coworkers with a morning, and you sit down at your desk. The real workday begins.
Desk conversations and teamwork, this is where the majority of your communication will happen. And one of the most vital and honestly most vulnerable things you have to do at your desk is ask for help.
Oh man, asking for help is hard enough in your native language. Doing it in a second language where you might already feel insecure is terrifying.
It's so intimidating.
You don't want to sound demanding, and you don't want to sound incompetent.
Right. But the phrases native speakers use to ask for help are specifically designed to be disarming. They're polite, casual, and really low pressure.
Let's hear some of them.
Sure. Do you have a minute? Quick question. You got a sec? Can you help me with this file?
I want to point out something I noticed about these phrases. The word quick. Adding that one little word changes the entire mood of the request.
It really does. Why do you think that is?
Well, if I walk up to someone and say, "I have a question," it sounds heavy. It sounds like I might need them to explain the entire history of the company to me.
Right. It sounds like an interrogation.
Exactly. But if I say, "Quick question," I'm giving them a guarantee. I'm saying, I am only going to take a tiny piece of your day. You are safe.
You are recognizing their time is valuable. It's highly respectful. And if we look at a scenario where you are completely stuck, like you're staring at a spreadsheet and the numbers just aren't adding up, there is a fantastic phrase you can use.
What is it?
Am I crazy or is this not working?
Am I crazy or is this not working? That is brilliant.
It is, because it uses self-deprecating humor. By offering the possibility that you are the crazy one, you soften the situation. You aren't blaming the software. You aren't blaming the colleague who built the spreadsheet. You are just inviting them to look at a shared problem.
And if someone comes to your desk and asks you for help using one of these phrases, you need natural ways to respond too, right? If they say, "You got a sec," you don't want to say, "Yes, I am available to assist you."
No, you use those short, friendly chunks again. "I'll do it in a minute. Give me 1 sec. No rush. Will do." Or simply anytime.
What we're really talking about here with words like quick and phrases like "am I crazy" is a concept called softening.
Softening is perhaps the most important cultural rule of English-speaking workplaces.
Really, the most important.
I'd say so. In many cultures, direct communication is valued. You just say what you mean. But in an English workplace, being too direct can often be perceived as aggressive, bossy, or rude, so we use softening words to cushion the impact of our sentences.
Words like maybe, kind of, a bit.
Exactly. Instead of saying, this design is bad, you soften it. This design is a bit confusing. Or instead of giving a direct command to a coworker, we must submit this today, you soften the grammar. Are we supposed to submit this today?
Oh, let's look at supposed to. That is such a powerful tool.
It really is a grammatical lifesaver. Supposed to asks about an expectation without making a demand. If you say, are we supposed to submit this today? You are phrasing it as a question about the rules rather than you telling them what to do.
It makes you sound polite, collaborative, and completely unbossy.
Unbossy is exactly what you want to go for.
Now, speaking of grammar at the desk, there is a massive trap that catches almost every A1 and A2 learner. It's the difference between two tiny verbs, do and make.
Oh, yes. This is a notorious stumbling block because in many languages like Spanish, French, Italian, there's often just one primary verb that covers both of these concepts. So translating directly causes a lot of confusion.
I see this all the time. A learner will confidently say, I made my job today. And a native speaker understands them, but it just sounds entirely wrong to the native ear.
So let's break down the actual logic behind do versus make. Because it isn't just random memorization, there is a core philosophy here. Let's start with do.
Okay, lay it on me.
Do is used when you are handling an action, a routine, or a task that already exists. The thing is already there in the world, and your job is just to execute it, complete it, or handle it.
Okay, let me test my understanding of this. If I have a stack of paperwork on my desk, the papers are already printed, the forms are already there. I don't create them, I just process them. So I do the paperwork.
Spot on. You do the paperwork, you do your job because the job description already exists. You do your tasks.
What about chores at home? Like laundry. The dirty clothes already exist in a pile. I'm just putting them in the machine.
Exactly. You do the laundry, you do the dishes because the dirty plates are sitting right there in the sink. You are handling an existing reality. Now contrast that with make.
How does make work?
Make is all about creation. It's about taking raw materials or ideas and producing something entirely new that did not exist before you took action. You are the creator.
Oh, I see. So back to my home example. I do the dishes because they were already there. But dinner isn't there yet. I have raw chicken and vegetables. I have to create it, so I make dinner.
Perfect analogy, and let's bring that back to the office. A plan does not exist until you think of it and write it down. So you make a plan. The choice doesn't exist until you decide. So you make a decision. A PowerPoint file is blank until you build it. So you make a presentation.
Okay, so do is for handling what is already there. Make is for creating something new. That completely demystifies it.
It takes practice, but once you understand the underlying philosophy of creation versus execution, it becomes much more intuitive.
Let's stick with grammar and action at the desk for one more minute. There are three tiny words that basically control the flow of all information in an office. Some, any, and only.
These are incredibly useful for managing expectations and navigating office tension. Let's imagine a scenario. You are working on a big project. Your colleague walks up to your desk looking a bit stressed and asks, do you have any updates?
Why do they use any there?
Any is used in questions and negative sentences. They are asking if a quantity exists at all. They don't know if you have 0 updates or 100 updates. They just want to know if the concept of an update exists right now. Do you have any?
And as the learner, I shouldn't just look up and say yes. That's too abrupt.
Right. The natural full response shifts from any to some. You say, yes, I have some updates. Some is used for positive statements when you have an undefined but real amount. You don't have all the updates, but you have a few.
But then comes the crucial part. I have some updates, but the project isn't finished. I have to manage the fact that I'm going to disappoint them a little bit. This is where the third word comes in. I only need a little more time.
The word only is a professional lifesaver. It is the ultimate tension reducer.
How so?
If you just say, I need more time, your colleague's brain might panic. They might think you need 3 weeks. But when you add I only need a little more time, you are minimizing the bad news. You are signaling, don't panic, the delay is very small, everything is under control. It's a tiny word that does a massive amount of psychological heavy lifting.
Don't panic.
Yeah.
That is exactly what you need in the workplace. Because tension in the workplace is real, which brings us seamlessly to the most tense place of all, the environment where communication really gets tested.
Ah, the meeting room.
Navigating the meeting room.
For a beginner language learner, walking into a meeting room can feel like walking into a storm. Native speakers tend to talk very fast, they use complicated idioms, they interrupt each other constantly, and the topic jumps around.
It's pure chaos. So how can an A1 or A2 learner participate confidently when the words are flying around the room at 100 miles an hour?
First, you anchor yourself with the basic vocabulary of the room. Every formal meeting should have an agenda.
The agenda. That's the list of topics you're going to discuss. It's your map. If you get lost in the conversation, look at the agenda.
Exactly. It keeps the chaos organized. And usually, the overarching goal of a meeting is to discuss a deadline.
The date or time when a project absolutely must be finished. The finish line.
And your best physical tool in any meeting is taking notes. Not just for the project details, but for the language. If a native speaker uses a word you don't understand, write it down phonetically so you can look it up later. Don't stress about understanding 100% of the words in the moment.
So the meeting starts. You probably aren't going to hear a grand cinematic speech.
No, not usually. The manager will likely just clear their throat and say, all right, let's get started, or let's do a quick update.
But here is the real challenge. You are sitting there taking notes and you realize you actually have a brilliant idea. Or you spot a huge mistake in the plan. You need to speak up. How do you interrupt a room full of fast-talking native speakers? You can't just slam your hand on the table and shout, "Listen to me."
I mean, that would certainly get their attention, but it might not be great for your career.
Probably not.
This goes back to our rule of softening. You want to interrupt politely. You use transitional phrases to slide into the conversation.
Give me some examples of how to slide in.
You wait for a tiny pause. Maybe physically raise your hand just slightly to signal intent and say, "Excuse me, may I say something?" Or, "I have a question about the project," or even, "If I could just add something here."
Those are great. But what if the problem isn't that you want to speak, but that the person presenting the financial report is just talking way, way too fast? You're completely lost.
You have to stop them.
But that feels so embarrassing. It feels like you are admitting, I am not smart enough to understand you.
That is the psychological barrier that every learner has to break through. I want to emphasize this very clearly. Asking someone to slow down does not make you look stupid.
It doesn't.
No. It shows you are a professional who cares deeply about getting the details right. Think about the alternative. The alternative is that you sit in silence, you pretend to understand, and then tomorrow you make a massive, expensive mistake on the project because you missed a key detail. That is much worse. Communication is the goal, not perfection.
So how do we stop them politely?
Sorry, could you repeat that? Or can you speak a little slower, please? Or if you want to use the most professional high-level maneuver, you use a summarizing phrase.
Like what?
You hold up a hand and say, "Let me check I understood." And then you repeat back what you think they said in your own simple words. It forces them to stop, listen to you, and confirm or clarify. It puts you in control of the pace.
Let me check I understood. So you mean, that was a phenomenal tool. Okay, here is the scenario that gets really interesting for me, and it happens all the time in meetings. What if someone asks for my opinion, and the room is divided? Let's say half the room wants to launch the product in June, and the other half wants to launch in July. I actually agree with the June people, but I don't want to make the July people angry. How do I navigate that complex social dynamic in a second language?
This is where you need a toolkit for agreement and disagreement. Let's start with the easy part. Agreeing.
Right. If I'm Team June, I can just say, I agree with you.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm with you. So do I. Me too. Those are all natural and validating.
But then I have to turn to the July people and disagree. And I know I can't just point at them and say, you are wrong. That's a career-ending move.
Exactly. You disagree politely by validating their intelligence first. You say, "I see your point, but..." And then you introduce your idea. Or you soften it with doubt. "I'm not sure that will work." Or you frame it as an experiment. What if we try something different?
I see your point, but it's like you are giving them a little gift of respect before you take away their idea.
That's a great way to put it. Now, to address your specific dilemma about being stuck between two choices, there is a magic trio of words in English that handles this perfectly. Either, neither, and both.
Oh, let's unpack the logic of these three. They can be tricky.
Let's say the two options are June and July. If you sit back, listen to the arguments, and you actually like the arguments for June and the arguments for July, you use both. You say, "I like both ideas."
Meaning 100% yes to June and 100% yes to July. They are equal.
Exactly. Now, what if you don't really care? You think June is fine and you think July is fine. You are happy to choose one or the other. It doesn't matter to you. You use either. I think we can do either June or July.
It's a flexible word. It means one of the two. I am adaptable.
Right. And finally, what if you listen to the meeting and you realize June is a terrible idea because the product isn't ready, and July is a terrible idea because everyone is on vacation? You reject the entire premise.
You use neither. I like neither option. We should launch in September.
Exactly. Both. Yes to all. Either one or the other is fine. Neither no to all. And native speakers often shorten this dramatically in fast conversation.
Right. If the boss looks at you and says, do we launch in June or July? You don't have to give a full grammatical sentence like, we can launch either in June or July.
No, you can literally just shrug your shoulders and say one word.
Yeah.
Either.
Either. It's fast, it's highly professional, it answers the question, and it keeps the momentum of the meeting moving forward.
Okay, so you have successfully survived the meeting. But as you walk out of the conference room, the manager catches your eye and says, can you come to my office for a minute?
Oh boy. Moving up the hierarchy. This brings us to talking to the boss and handling workplace stress.
The dynamic of your English has to shift completely when you step into the boss's office. You are still trying to use natural, fluid English, but the level of formal politeness must increase.
You definitely drop the what's up, or you good, and return to a solid, respectful how are you today, or did you need to see me?
But the biggest linguistic shift happens when you need to make a request, when you need something from your boss. And the secret weapon here, the most important word for workplace diplomacy, is the word would.
Would, W-O-U-L-D. I want to build on an analogy I've used before for this word because it really visualizes the grammar.
Let's hear it.
Imagine your request is a physical object, like a heavy cardboard box with sharp corners. If you walk into your boss's office and use direct present tense verbs like, I want your feedback, or I need a break, it's the equivalent of throwing that heavy box aggressively at their chest. They have to catch it. It's demanding. It's jarring.
I love that visual. So what does would do?
Using the word would is like wrapping that heavy box in a thick, soft cushion. When you say, I would appreciate your feedback, or I would like to take a short break if that's okay, you aren't throwing the box. You are walking over and gently handing it to them. It's the exact same request, but the delivery shows immense respect for their authority and their time.
It is professional magic. It softens the demand into a preference. Now, what if you are in the boss's office, not to make a casual request, but because something is actually wrong, you are overwhelmed with the workload or you made a mistake? How do you talk about stress?
This is huge because in some cultures, admitting you are stressed to your boss is seen as a massive weakness. It's admitting failure.
But there is a very specific cultural norm in modern English-speaking offices about expressing emotion and capacity. It is completely acceptable and often actively encouraged by good managers to communicate your limits.
So it doesn't make you look weak.
No, it makes you look self-aware. A manager cannot manage a team effectively if they don't know who is drowning in work. So you need clear phrases to express this.
You can literally just say, I'm a bit overwhelmed today.
Yes, overwhelmed is a great word. It means the water is getting too high. Or you can say, I'm behind on my work. Or even if you just had a terrible phone call with a client, I need a moment to calm down.
By saying, I'm a bit overwhelmed, you are giving your boss the opportunity to help you prioritize. They can say, okay, drop project A, just focus on project B.
There is a great illustrative story from our sources about navigating these interpersonal dynamics. Imagine an office with two coworkers. Let's call them Tom and Sarah.
Okay, Tom and Sarah.
Tom is the guy who talks way too much in meetings. He gets off topic, he rambles, he interrupts. Sarah is generally quieter, but she has a lot of work to do, and Tom is wasting her time. In some cultures, Sarah might just sit there and suffer in silence to be polite.
But how does she handle it in an English-speaking office?
She uses polite assertiveness. She waits for a breath and she says, Tom, let's stay focused on the agenda.
Let's stay focused on the agenda. It's brilliant. She doesn't say, Tom, shut up. She redirects the focus to the document, the agenda. She sets a firm boundary, but she does it professionally.
Exactly. Now, while we are talking about office culture, we have to talk about office idioms, because navigating the office means navigating these bizarre little phrases that native speakers use constantly.
Idioms are the absolute worst for learners because if you translate them literally, word for word, they sound like absolute nonsense.
Let's go through a few common ones that you will absolutely hear in the workplace. First one, spill the beans.
Literally dropping a can of beans on the floor.
Right, but idiomatically, imagine you are planning a secret surprise retirement party for a coworker. But another colleague accidentally walks up to them and says, "I can't wait for your party on Friday." That colleague just spilled the beans.
It means revealing a secret, usually by accident.
Yeah.
The secret is the beans, and now they are all over the floor for everyone to see.
Exactly. How about this one, which is usually said when someone is highly stressed? The last straw.
Like a drinking straw.
Well, it actually comes from a very old proverb about the straw that broke the camel's back. Imagine a camel carrying hay. You can keep adding pieces of straw one by one. The camel is fine. But eventually you add one single tiny piece of straw, and the weight is finally too much, and the camel's back breaks.
Ah, so in an office, it's like you are having a bad day, you miss the bus, you spill your coffee, your computer crashes. None of those things individually make you scream. But then at 4:55 p.m., your boss walks over and asks you to stay 3 hours late to format a spreadsheet.
Boom. That request is the last straw. It is the final small problem that makes you completely lose your patience or your temper.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Next idiom, bite your tongue. I imagine this physical action happens a lot in frustrating meetings.
It is all about self-control. Let's say someone in a meeting says something that is completely factually wrong, and you know they are wrong. You desperately want to argue with them. But you realize that starting a fight right now will just make the meeting go an hour longer.
So to avoid the conflict, you physically clamp your teeth down on your tongue to stop the words from coming out. You bite your tongue. You choose silence.
Exactly. And let's end with a positive idiom. Go the extra mile.
If my job description is to run 1 mile, but I run 2 miles.
Right. If you finish all your assigned tasks by 4 p.m., but you see that your teammate is struggling, so you stay late to help them finish their work, you are doing more than is strictly required of you. You go the extra mile. Bosses absolutely love employees who do this.
Now, speaking of talking to the boss, there is a very specific grammatical hurdle that happens constantly in these conversations. You have to report what other people said or did.
Yes, reporting information.
Like your boss asks you what happened with the client, and you have to say, the client said they want a refund. This involves a grammatical concept called reported speech or indirect speech.
This is vital because it's how we tell stories, share updates, and gossip at work. And the core logic engine of reported speech is a concept called backshifting.
Backshifting. Okay, I love this term. It sounds like driving a manual transmission car.
It is remarkably similar. I want you to lean into that analogy. How does driving a manual car relate to backshifting in grammar?
Okay, let's play this out. Imagine the tenses in English are the gears in a car. First gear, second gear, third gear. Right now, in this exact moment, I am speaking in the present tense. I'm driving in, let's say, third gear.
Okay, you are cruising in the present.
But now, I want to tell you about something my boss said yesterday. I am recounting history. I can't stay in third gear. I have to push the clutch in and physically shift the gear stick back 1 position into second gear. I have to shift the sentence into the past tense to show the listener that these words are from history, not right now.
That is exactly how it works. You shift gears in time. When you are reporting what someone said, the tense of their original words usually moves 1 step back into the past.
Let's do a concrete example. Play the role of my manager. Give me a direct command right now in the present tense.
I want the report. Present tense.
Okay, so that was you, the manager, speaking in third gear, the present. Now, an hour later, I walk over to my coworker to tell them what you said. I don't say, the manager said he want the report.
No, because that mixes the past said with the present want. It sounds jarring.
So I backshift, I push the clutch in, and I drop the verbal want back into the past tense. The manager said that he wanted the report.
Present becomes past. Perfect. Now let's try a harder one. What if the manager's original statement was already in the past tense?
Ooh. What if I'm already driving in second gear?
Let's say the manager tells you, I finished the report. That is simple past tense. How do you report that?
I have to backshift again. I have to go to first gear.
Yes. You shift from simple past into past perfect.
So the manager said that he had finished the report.
Exactly. Finished becomes had finished. It creates temporal distance. It signals to the listener's brain that these are not your words and this is not happening right now. It is subtle, but mastering backshifting makes your storytelling and reporting at work flow so incredibly smoothly.
Okay, we have spent a lot of time in a traditional office. The desk, the meeting room, the boss's carpeted floor. But work isn't just sitting at a desk with a laptop and a spreadsheet.
Not at all. And the framework we are exploring today specifically highlights completely different work environments, like construction, manual labor, and the service industry, like hotels.
The core vocabulary completely shifts in these environments, but the fundamental need for clear, accurate English remains exactly the same. Let's look at construction first.
On a construction site, the #1 priority above everything else is safety. So the foundational vocabulary reflects that priority. You have an acronym you will hear constantly, PPE.
Personal protective equipment, or more commonly, just safety gear.
You need to know these items. The hard hat to protect your head, the steel-toed safety boots to protect your feet, the bright reflective safety vest so heavy trucks can see you. You don't work in an office, you work on the site.
You climb a ladder, you dig and pour the concrete foundation, and you don't look at a spreadsheet, you look at the blueprint, which is the large paper plan for the building.
And think about the environment of a construction site. It is loud. There are saws, trucks, hammers. The communication style has to adapt to the noise. You don't use long, softened sentences here.
Right. If I'm holding a heavy piece of wood, I don't say, "Excuse me, would you mind passing me the hammer?" when you have a quick second.
You would drop the wood before you finish the sentence. You use short, clear, direct commands. Pass me the hammer. Is the ladder stable? Hold this. Directness here is not rude. It is necessary for safety and efficiency.
Now contrast that loud, direct environment with the hotel or service industry. Working the front desk, talking to the manager, handling guest complaints. This is the absolute opposite of construction.
It requires extreme empathy, extreme politeness, and a lot of patience. Guests can be unpredictable.
There is a hilarious anecdote from the sources about a hotel manager named Jack. A guest comes down to the front desk looking very angry and complains that the shower is singing.
The shower is singing. That is an incredible, almost poetic way to describe a broken, squealing water pipe.
Or imagine a guest coming down and complaining that the towel's too fluffy.
How do you even respond to that?
You have to use so much polite, de-escalating English to navigate that without laughing or getting angry. You rely on phrases like, "I apologize for the inconvenience, sir," or "Let me look into that singing shower for you immediately." You have to validate their bizarre reality.
But here is the catch. Whether you want to work in an air-conditioned office, on a loud construction site, or at a high-end hotel front desk, you have to get through the ultimate gatekeeper first.
The job interview. Just saying the words out loud makes my palms sweat.
It is inherently stressful. You are being judged on your skills and on your English simultaneously.
And the most terrifying part of the interview is almost always the very first question they ask. You sit down, you shake hands, and they look at you and say, "Tell me about yourself."
It is a vast, incredibly open-ended question.
Yeah.
And it is a massive, massive trap for beginners.
It really is. Because if an interviewer looks at me and says, "Tell me about yourself," my literal human instinct is to actually tell them about myself. I want to say, well, I was born on a Tuesday. I have a fluffy orange cat named Barnaby, who I love very much. I really enjoy hiking on the weekends. And for breakfast today, I had a really nice bowl of oatmeal.
If you say that, the interviewer is going to smile, nod, and mentally cross your name off the list of candidates.
But they ask about me. Shouldn't I talk about my hobbies and my breakfast?
Absolutely not. This is a decoding exercise. In an English job interview, the phrase, "tell me about yourself," is a professional code. It strictly translates to, "Tell me about your professional skills, your relevant work experience, and why you are sitting in this chair applying for this job." They do not want your life story. They want your professional highlight reel.
So what do you say? How do you answer it if your English is at an A2 level? You can't use massive corporate jargon.
You keep it incredibly simple, and you focus on character traits that employers universally value. You use short I am statements.
I am organized.
Perfect. I am punctual, which is a great vocabulary word that means you are always on time. I am hardworking.
If you are that mechanic or construction worker we talked about earlier, you can say, "I am good with my hands." If you are applying for a kitchen job in a busy restaurant, you say, "I work well in a busy environment."
The underlying psychology of an English-speaking interviewer is that they respond to clarity. They want to know what you can do. The absolute power phrase for an A1 or A2 learner is, "I am good at blank."
I am good. It's so simple.
I am good at solving problems. I am good at organizing schedules. I am good at talking to customers. You do not need complex, multi-clause, highly grammatical sentences to impress an interviewer. Simple, clear, and confident is always, 100% of the time, better than long, complicated, and confusing.
If you try to use a giant word you barely know, you will stumble, you will lose your confidence, and the interviewer will get confused. Just say, "I am hardworking, and I am good at solving problems." Boom. You answered the question perfectly.
Okay, so let's fast forward. You crushed the interview using simple, confident English. You got the job. You survived the morning greetings, the do versus make desk tasks, the chaotic meetings, and the heavy box requests to your boss.
You made it.
It is now the best time of day. We have reached the final stage of our journey, the clock out and the master learning mindset.
The workday is ending. It's 5:00 p.m. How do you say goodbye to your colleagues naturally? Because again, we are ditching the textbook. You don't stand up, put your coat on, and announce to the room, I am terminating my employment for the next 14 hours. Farewell to you all.
You use those casual shortcut phrases again. I'm heading out. See you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Or simply, I'm done for today.
And my absolute personal favorite, I'm mentally clocked out.
That's a great one.
It's so visually descriptive. It means your physical body is still sitting at the desk, but your brain packed its bags and left the building an hour ago.
Now, as you were leaving, you might have a quick conversation with a coworker about your evening plans. And here we hit our final quick grammar point of the day. The difference between will and going to when talking about the future.
Ooh, this is a great distinction.
It is all about the psychology of intention and planning. Imagine you are putting your coat on and a coworker runs up to you and says, oh no, I can't find the client file. In that exact second, you make an instant decision to help them. You didn't plan to do it, you just decided right now.
So what do I say?
You use will. You say, don't worry, I'll check my desk right now. Will is for instant decisions, spontaneous offers, or promises made in the moment.
I'll take it right now. Got it. But what about going to?
Now imagine your coworker asks you, hey, what are you doing tonight? You already have a plan in your head. You decided this morning that you are going to spend an hour learning English. The plan already exists.
So I use going to. I'm going to study English tonight.
Exactly. Will is spontaneous. Going to is a pre-existing plan.
Which perfectly transitions us into the most important foundational part of this entire deep dive. You have physically clocked out of work. You are going to go home. But how do you actually build the habits to keep improving your English for the next workday? How do you get better?
To explain this, we need to look at an incredible narrative from the source materials about a language learner named Jake.
Jake from Brazil. This story resonated with me so much.
Jake is a brilliant software engineer, highly technical, very smart, but he had a massive problem. He could read English code, he could understand written English perfectly, but when he had to speak, his mouth completely froze. He couldn't string a full sentence together verbally.
Right, and the stakes were incredibly high for him. He landed an interview for his absolute dream job at an international company. He gets into the interviewer asks him a basic question, and Jake completely panics. He literally stammers out, yes, software, many projects good. I am very good.
It was a disaster. He completely failed the interview. He was devastated.
But the story doesn't end there, because just 5 months later, Jake reapplies, completely masters his workplace English, sounds natural and confident, and gets the job. What is the secret sauce here? How did he completely rewire his brain in 5 months?
He used what we can call the 5-month method, and it is an absolute masterclass in practical language acquisition. The first thing he did was completely change his approach. He realized that sitting at his desk, silently memorizing lists of advanced grammar rules was actually hurting him. It's making him overthink. His mouth was literally afraid to move.
So what did he do instead?
For the first 15 days of his new routine, he banned complex grammar. He only focused on what we call survival sentences.
Survival sentences. Give me some examples.
Can you repeat that? I don't understand. What time is the meeting? Let me check my calendar.
Sure.
Simple, bulletproof phrases that you need to survive a basic interaction.
And he didn't just read them silently, did he?
No, that's the key. He wrote down 50 of these survival sentences. And every single morning, without fail, he read those 50 sentences out loud 10 times each.
Out loud. That is the magic key. He wasn't just training his brain to recognize the words. He was physically training the muscles in his tongue, his lips, and his jaw to produce the sounds of English. He was building muscle memory until those 50 phrases became completely automatic. He didn't have to think to say them. His mouth just knew how to do it.
Exactly. Once he had that baseline of confidence, he moved to the second phase, the echoing or shadowing technique.
I love shadowing. Explain how this works for sounding natural.
Shadowing is how you learn the music of a language. Every language has a rhythm, a cadence, a specific way it rises and falls. If you just read words off a page, you will use the music of your native language and you will sound foreign.
So you have to mimic the native music.
Yes. Jake would take a podcast or a YouTube video of native English speakers talking about software. He would listen to one sentence, then he would pause the audio. And he would repeat that sentence out loud, trying to copy their exact rhythm, their exact stress on certain syllables, and their exact tone. He echoed them. He became a parrot.
It's acting.
Mm.
You're playing the role of a native speaker, but all of this practice at home in front of a mirror doesn't mean anything if you are too terrified to speak up when you're actually in a meeting. How did Jake conquer the fear?
He used a psychological trick called the 5-second rule.
Like when you drop food on the floor.
Different rule. This is about beating hesitation. When Jake was in an online group or at work and he knew the answer to a question, he would feel that wave of panic rise up in his chest. His brain would start saying, "Don't speak, you'll make a mistake, they will laugh at you."
We all know that voice.
Before that voice could paralyze him, Jake would mentally count down backwards from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And on 1, he forced himself to open his mouth and just speak.
He literally did not give his fear the time it needed to grow. He bypassed his own anxiety.
Yes. But the most profound takeaway from Jake's story, the underlying engine of all this incredible progress, wasn't that he found some magical well of motivation.
No, because motivation is a trap. Motivation is an emotion. It is a feeling. And feelings come and go like the weather. Some days you wake up, the sun is shining, and you feel motivated to conquer the English language and take over the world.
And other days it's raining, you're tired, and you want to hit the snooze button for 3 hours. If you rely on motivation, you will practice English twice a week.
So what did Jake rely on?
Discipline. Discipline is not an emotion. Discipline is a habit. Discipline is the quiet, boring act of doing what matters, even when you absolutely do not feel like doing it. Jake didn't wait to feel motivated. He invested his time deliberately.
He recognized the difference between wasting time and investing time. Scrolling on your phone, looking at social media for an hour is a distraction. It evaporates. But spending 15 minutes standing in front of a mirror, doing your echoing exercises out loud, is an investment in your future.
And consistency is a multiplier. A little bit of English every single day, just 10 or 15 minutes of speaking out loud, will completely beat a 3-hour marathon cram session done once a week.
Because the daily 15 minutes builds the neural pathways in your brain. It tells your brain this language is now a permanent part of our daily reality. It makes the language a habit.
And that ultimately is the master mindset. You're not just memorizing vocabulary lists to pass a test. You are building a lifelong habit of communication.
Which brings us, incredibly, to the end of our workday and the end of our deep dive. Let's take a breath and look back at the journey we just took. We started with the morning snooze button and the loading computer brain. We navigated the bus stop commute using the simple share and ask formula.
We learned how to throw out the stiff textbook greetings for a casual pinging morning at the office.
We tackled desk teamwork using softening words like quick and maybe, and we finally unpacked the deep philosophical difference between doing a task that exists and making something brand new.
We conquered the terrifying meeting room, learning how to interrupt politely, why it's brave to ask someone to slow down, and how to navigate disagreements using the power of either, neither, and both.
We learned how to gently hand our boss requests using the soft cushion of the word would, how to admit we are overwhelmed, and how to backshift our reported speech like shifting gears in a manual car.
We explored the loud, direct commands of a construction site and the patient empathy of a hotel. We decoded the job interview trap of "tell me about yourself" by focusing on simple, "I am good at blushed" statements.
And finally, we clocked out, replacing the myth of motivation with the power of daily discipline, shadowing, and the 5-second rule to beat our fears.
If there is one single overarching truth you take away from all of this information today, I want it to be this. As a learner, your English is not broken.
I love that.
It's not broken. It is simply under construction. It is a work in progress, and mistakes are a vital part of that construction.
We treat mistakes like they are a judge, sitting in a high courtroom, banging a gavel, and condemning us for being stupid.
But they aren't a judge. Mistakes are a teacher. They are guiding you. Every single time you use one of these phrases at work, every time you try to use would or you try the share plus ask formula, even if your pronunciation isn't perfect, even if you mess up the grammar, you are going the extra mile. You are engaging in the beautiful, messy act of human communication.
We spend so much time and so much anxious energy trying to sound like these perfect, flawless native speakers in the workplace. We stress over every single grammar rule and every idiom. But what if the ultimate goal of learning English isn't to sound like someone else entirely? What if the real goal is to finally have the vocabulary, the rhythm, and the confidence to step into that office and sound exactly like yourself?
Because when you can finally express your true self, your own personality, in a second language, that's when you are no longer just surviving the muddy waters. You are navigating them with skill.
You're steering a ship. I couldn't agree more. Keep practicing out loud, keep shadowing, keep talking even when it's scary, and we will see you next time.